I'm going to record it on here. Aha! Okay, now we're recording. Now we're going to start. If you saw anything that came before, that was Tech Glitches, brought to you courtesy of Adrian.
You're welcome.
Our original member, who is a Pisces and has some ongoing tech glitch life stuff that she's working through as she becomes more and more visible. And over the years, we've talked about it at like a very surface level, like, why are you scared to be visible? And then conversations on society and race and culture and why are you scared to be visible, to like, let's get down to that core and get you out and make you visible, or bring you into the light if that's what you choose. But part of the reason why Golden Otter has this umbrella of anonymity is because when I like your journey of getting on camera and being visible in your space with, can I say your company name?
Yeah.
It's just okay, with Great Day Academics is being seen. We all kind of go through a very similar journey of being seen, and it's like, how safe is it to be seen, and what level of seen is safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for Golden Otter, I wanted this cloak of invisibility. So did you ever read Harry Potter? Harry Potter? Yeah, okay. So you got the cloak of invisibility.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I first started exploring my mediumship and manifesting, I was always really like, can I do this in private? And like, where can I go? And then after you've read all the books and after you've watched all the movies and done all the research, it's like, well, now what? Like, now I want to go IRL. I want to go in real life, and I want to like get a taste of this. And I want to actually start seeing if these people who say these things are real, and because you can be anybody on the internet, but in real life, like, how authentic are they? And so I'd go to these development circles, and I would use anonymity as my invisibility shield. So I would go, I would not dress up in costume. I'm not that creative. But I would like tie my hair back. And so like, I never wanted people to know I had long hair. Even in my first job when I was here in DC, I was doing curriculum development for like 6 months. I kept my hair up in a knot. I have no idea. It was not an intentional thing. I just did it. I would leave my hair in a knot. And then one day, it must have been when I actually felt comfortable at work, or it was just really hot in our building, I took my hair down. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, you have long hair. I had no idea. And I'm like, oh, that's part of my hiding. It's like, if my hair is up, you can't pin me as who I am, and I can put a jacket on. I can kind of change the way that I look. I've always been into like those spy shows, like where they like, you go around a corner and you like put a hood on, and you take some glasses and you like change your identity in a matter of moments. And for me, going into like development circles, feeling like I had this cloak of anonymity was really important to me. And so that's how Golden Otter was born, and how the Lunar Manifestations Members Forum was born, where anonymity is just built into it. Some people are totally comfortable coming on and talking about their woo, and I'm like, yes, I love it. And some are like, hey, I'm going through like a metaphysical or a spiritual journey, and I'd like some privacy. But I do want to like have a space where somebody is being visible and somebody's being seen. And so for me, the longer I do this, the more I'm the one being visible and being seen, and have to like take off my invisibility cloak. I've replaced my one layer at a time. I've replaced my invisibility cloak with my golden snitch, like whatever this is. What do you call this? It's like I think it's an ornament, but it's also like I use it as a keychain and just as like a totem. And then my phoenix from Golden Otter. And the reason, or not from Golden Otter, from Harry Potter. I'm just straight plagiarizing. I'm like, sorry, J.K. Rowling. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is that in the Scorpio new moon ritual that we're talking about, they talk about like envy and jealousy and how we can use those as cues to direct our path, right? And so for me, I was always really envious and jealous of people who could just show up and be themselves. I'm like, wow, must be nice. Must be nice to just show up in the world exactly as you are and not have to hide and be in fear. Right? Just going, you, me, you, me. I was watching Night at the Roxbury the other night, like old Will Ferrell movies, like you, me, you, me. And so yeah, 2020 is the year that like a lot of people who weren't seen had to get seen, because we all went into this digital space, whether we wanted to or not. And then people who were pretty visible could have that option to kind of like hide away. So the Scorpio new moon ritual is about identifying our envy and identifying our jealousy to chart a new course for our life, right? It's like using your envy and your jealousy as a cue to go in a new direction instead of like keeping it, you know, because like hatred, envy, jealousy, that's all like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. It's like, no, it's only going to kill you. You're only going to like slowly get new gray hairs. I was just getting ready this morning. I'm like, oh no. Hello. What's that song? Can you hear me? Like, no. Anyways, so if I start going blonde, you guys will know why. Okay, back to the top and envy. So as I was saying with Golden Otter, I have been going through some things where I'm like, is it really okay? Is it really safe for me to expand and make a living doing this and earn an income actually helping people in a way that I've been doing my whole life for free? Do we got a question? What's it say?
It just says, congrats, you made.
Oh, that's my pop-up. I that's just, that's
I
just,
got it.
did you get it? You're like, oh, I love Adrian. I wait. It's just a screenshot, and then every time I text somebody, that one comes up. Okay, so so Adrian just got a pop up on my phone. It says, "Congrats, you made." How much did it say I made? Was it 1,000 or was it okay? So there's
a new subscriber as well.
Oh, did I get a new subscriber? Oh, that's actually real. So I did get a new subscriber.
Really?
Oh, nice. So I do these like pop-ups where it's like, congratulations, Autumn, you made $1,000 from Golden Otter. And I'm like, oh, nice. But I haven't quite felt that is real. It has been real at different points, but like in the frequency that I have built the company to go, that's not what the reality is, because I still maintain another job where I cannot be this level of visible, like rolling up at my office, dressed in literal stripper garb. Like this used to be something that a stripper would wear. Now I feel like, I mean, I bought it at a regular old store, and the lady was like, you could just wear it to date night. And I was like, why would I go for date night to wear this? But I suppose you're right. Back to jealousy. I've always been kind of like I've always been interested in like sex work and prostitution and like strippers and hookers and all the words for it. Apparently in a past life I was a geisha. And my husband and I heard that in a reading one time, and we both kind of laughed. It's like, well, that's pretty on the nose. But I've also been married since I was 21 in a completely monogamous, no questions asked type relationship. Don't go to strip clubs. Don't do kind of like things that, where I'd be able to like actually get this information firsthand, essentially. So I'm like I'm like a voyeur, like on the internet, like watching documentaries about, like women in sex work, and there seems to be this. Like I'm jealous of the freedom that I feel like they have, but I'm also a little bit heartbroken for the way that freedom costs them something. And usually it's their dignity, and usually it's their freedom in another sense. They're financially free, but they're emotionally captive to this persona, this mask that they have to wear. And so I guess for me this month, for this last couple of weeks, has been me exploring this idea of like, what is it about that lifestyle that I'm envious of, but what about it that I would never want? And how can I kind of bring some of it into my life? So like this was one of the things, just like buying this top, And actually, while we're on the topic of this, the Phoenix, somebody asked me, a good friend of ours for years, he's a pilot, and he's like, oh, like, what's my spirit animal? What's my spirit animal? I'm like, dude, I've told you what your spirit animal is. It's a Phoenix. He's like, no, I don't want that one. And he's like 5 years ago, he's like, what's my spirit animal? I was like, I will not tell you your spirit animal. He's like, tell me my spirit animal. And I was like, are you like, is this fun for you? Are you like kind of making fun of me? Or is this like really? He's like, no, like if spirit animals are a real thing, like tell me, because he's like a military guy, like all that. And I jokingly was like, okay, I'll tell you what yours is. And then I like did a reading, whatever, and told him his was the Phoenix. And he's like, oh, that sucks. Like, what? That's lame. He's like, I wanted it to be like a wolf or like a panther, a jaguar, something fierce. And I was like, well, look at the energy of the Phoenix. He's like, I don't even know what that is. Now his little girl is like super into Harry Potter, and like we were just down in Harry Potter World, and I brought him back a matching Phoenix, and I gave it to him, and he's like, oh my gosh, you brought me my spirit animal. And I said, well, it's for you. I said, but it's also for your daughter and your kid. And then she comes in and she goes, what? Miss Autumn brought you what? And she goes, Dad, you're a Phoenix, and was like so excited and like so lit up. And then he was like, yeah, I'm a Phoenix. I'm a Phoenix. Yeah. And I'm like, this guy's been trying to like swap spirit animals for however long. And now he's I'm like, but now he's embracing it because he sees his daughter thinks it's so cool. And then he's like, sweetie, what's so cool about a phoenix? Like, because I had been telling him, but of course it's not until like his daughter, who's so invested in the whole Harry Potter genre, is like, oh, Dad, it's, a phoenix um, grows into this beautiful bird, this ornate bird with all these powers. Like one of its feathers can, be put into a wand and is magical. And it's like, it's this very powerful being. But then it self-immolates. She didn't use that word. I use that word. It catches itself on fire and it goes to ashes. And then from those ashes, a new little baby phoenix is born. And then it grows and grows and grows into its power. And for this guy who's your average pilot, you know, in the same line of work that my spouse might be in or is in. I guess you guys are members, we're military. Um, not not something that's on his radar, And then hearing it put through that lens of his daughter being like, Dad, that's you. Like you're a phoenix because anytime like something happens and then you go down like um like crashes and stuff like that. And she's like, and you just rise from the ashes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what a beautiful way for a kid to be able to reframe something really intense that happened and have it be, for that concrete example, but also like in this person's life. And he was like, thanks, that. Like, okay, I guess a phoenix is pretty cool. And I'm like, dude, I wish that I could say to you, like, your spirit animal is something else. But so for this month's ritual, the Scorpio new moon, we're talking about finding our money honeys and how when we snuggle up to those little money honeys, they become these tokens or these like touchstones that we can lean into to be like, I don't need to be jealous. I can snuggle up to this money honey who's here to direct me on whatever path that I may need to go on and use any of my jealousy cues, any of my jealousy like pings or emotions or feelings as cues to where to go next on my path. And so this month it's the phoenix for me. But in the ritual, I talk about how golden otter. When I first heard this idea of a money honey, and I was like, "What's my money honey? How can I shore up my jealousy? How can I, you know, um, get okay with earning an income doing something I love, like versus something I'm good at and other people see me as valuable, like in my day jobs. Because previously I was a teacher and then curriculum development, and now I'm, working in government still. So it's like, how can I just lean into this and like be okay with that being it? And I had to think about it and think about it and think about it. And then it literally, like, I was like, oh my gosh, Adam, like, you're so dense. Like, my company is Golden Otter. Why wouldn't I know what my money honey was? Because I heard about the idea of money honeys like long after, like 3 years ago. I heard it from another member. I was at a thing of hers called Wild Rumpus, like women's gathering. And she talked about this idea of a money honey. And one lady's was like, oh, mine's a little bird. And every time I imagined this little bird in a cage, I guess she was in a situation where she felt trapped. And so she said, so I put this like a little, like something kind of like this big, like a little bird. This is so weird that I just have all these like little accoutrement like toys. Yeah, like, or this, or this. Oh my
As
God,
soon as you said
this
that,
should be
I'm like,
yours.
that's what
Because you were born on St. Patty's. Here's your money,
As
honey.
soon-
You could have
as soon
that.
as you said that, I was like,
Oh my goodness. Wait, can I see it real quick? I'll put on the. This is, I think my mother-in-law gave this to Ellie and Evie they were in Ireland. But it's like literally just some fuzz. The girls would want you to have that. That's your money, honey. Whatever that little bear is.
So many like little, good luck things
Because you're born on St. Patrick's Day. That's why
my
you.
money honey. Whenever I think, I was like, no, I'm just so lucky. I'm lucky. And I think that's my money honey.
What, a little, like a
Shamrock.
like a shamrock, like a big stuffy shamrock. Oh my gosh, that was fun. That was like a fun moment. Just like literally sitting right in front of you.
Yeah.
We're recording in a hotel.
You asked me to move. Like,
I asked you to move over there. Oh gosh, now this guy's talking. Yeah, so when I first heard of it, the lady was like, oh, so what I did, she was in a, okay, I don't think I'll reveal too much, because again, cloak of anonymity. She was going through a separation, and I think there was like some holdup with funds and releasing the relationship and becoming independent. And she goes, I feel like a bird in a gilded cage. Like I've got this beautiful cage, but I'm stuck in here. And okay, thank you. I know. You gotta be quiet now, please. And so she took a little stuffed animal like this and put it in like an actual cage in her house. and open the door. Or maybe it was at her friend's house who had a cage. And so then they jokingly would like always leave the door open to this cage, and within a few days she said that like some legal things shook loose and she was able to get a little bit more air, a little bit more freedom. She goes, I'm not out of the cage, but I feel like my wings are coming back and I could get out of this cage. And so she kept tuning into this idea of her money honey being this little bird. And she said that it was at her friend's house, this other lady's house, and she had a housekeeper who would walk by this cage and close the bird cage. And because no birds were in it, was just decorative, but she would be cleaning it and she would close it. And then her friend would call her and she'd go, I don't want to give her name away. She'd be like, Elle, like, is the cage closed because things are really bad and like I feel trapped? And she's like, and she'd go home. She goes, oh no, the cleaning lady must have like closed the cage. And so she's like, it's open now. Okay, give it a few days. And so these two women held space for each other for that. And eventually she got out of the cage and like in an emotional or a mental, spiritual way. And I was like, that's such a cool example. And so we went around and I was like, what's your money, honey? What's your money? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. And just really trying to figure it out. And I could not figure it out. And then I got home that night and I had been thinking. And then I saw like a little icon of an otter. And I was like, oh, I think an otter is my money, honey. And then I was like, oh, I have a company named Golden Otter. Like how dense could I be? Like it was right in front of me. But the point is, it's like when you think about something, you're not going to find what you're looking for because that's that block. But when you feel for it, you'll find it. And for me, it was this feeling of this sweet, cuddly little otter being like diving down to the bottom of the ocean and like coming up with this clamshell and being like, oh, I'm just going to open this. I'm just going to lie on my back and like open this thing and be like, oh, there's a pearl. I don't really need that. I just want that to eat, So, or like a mama otter like laying on her back with like the little babies. And so it's just funny because I didn't even make the connection, and then I kind of did. But so that's our ritual for today, and that's kind of like this idea of finding our money honeys. And people always ask like, where did I get the idea of Golden Otter? I'm super into Harry Potter, inspired by the Golden Snitch, and the Golden Snitch, if you're not familiar, is it's not a character in the movie. It's like the grand prize, right? Harry Potter plays Quidditch, which is like wizard. It's like wizard soccer / rugby / hockey / field hockey. And you have to go around, and at the very, very end, you have to catch the golden snitch, which is like it comes out of the box and it flies. And whoever wins it wins the whole entire game, even if you have all these points. Like whoever has the most points, it still doesn't matter as long as you catch the golden snitch. And Harry Potter was the seeker. Was the name of the position who would always catch the golden snitch. And I just always love this idea of like being the person that as soon as the golden snitch comes out, you're like, oh, I'm going to go. And it's very apropos that it's like the seeker is seeking the golden snitch. And so for me, it's like I'm the seeker seeking the golden otter. All that is to say, if you have any envy or jealousy going on in your life, write it down. We've got a few things in the ritual, which I will pull up now that you can utilize. Let me switch over to that so you guys can see. Boom. Open. Install. No, install later. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. We're going to have to wait a second because now it's... Oh, no, there it is. Okay, so I'll go hide down here. And then I will bring this up so you can see it. Thank you guys for your patience. I just got a new computer, and I think it's kind of just giving me the what for. It's like an old saying that my mom used to say, why won't it let me see this? Bizarre. All right, I'm going to have to play with this later. I'll just read it for you guys now. So... Scorpio new moon ritual, desire mapping, using your envy triggers to chart a new life course. So you want to slay your money honey, your money monster, and snuggle up with your soul's new money honey to find your soul's buried treasure. We talk about real magic, and then we talk about peering into the darkness, embracing what's hidden, and pressing those lumps of coal into precious diamonds because it's time to rise like a phoenix. As this new moon's ritual supports us in creating a desire map straight to our soul's buried treasure by discovering our money honey and shoring up our core beliefs about what stability really means for us. Boop. Not not unrelated. I had this dream that my husband found out that he was an heir, like, or he'd always known, but I didn't know. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, that's cool. But then I think the message was like, your family is your fortune. And I was like, that's very true. You're like, what about an actual heir? Well, I found out a friend is an heiress the other day, and I'm like, get the out of town. But there's a saying, money talks and wealth whispers. And this is one of the most humble people I've ever known, who has the biggest, most generous, abundant heart, and never would have known because he lives such a beautiful, low key life, and one of service, one of dedication. And I just thought, wow, like that's what a wealthy woman looks like. Just like so wealthy that you don't need to, you know, tell anybody about it. And the only reason I found out was because there was some, some extenuating circumstances. But anyways, okay. Any questions about this month's ritual, Adrian, before we sign off, or any just general member Q&A questions?
Does your money honey have to be like a cute cuddly thing?
No, I don't think so. I think it
Could
just be...
just be anything that puts you in the feeling of abundance.
I think it needs to be something that puts you into the feeling of like, you're just like, oh. Because if you're, it's like the opposite feeling that you get when you go on social media and you're scrolling and you're like, I'm so jelly. Like, why don't I have this? Or like, why can't I figure this out? Or like, how do they get it and I don't? I think it needs to be something that when you see it, you're like, oh. And like you can snuggle up to it, you can cuddle up to it, and it invokes a feeling more than anything. So for me, the golden otter, it invokes these nurturing feelings of like motherhood, where I just want to like be on my back, chilling, picking up my resources wherever I need them. Like I'm like, oh, I don't gotta go far. I mean, an otter has to hunt to get its food. It has to dive down and pick up clams or get a fish or whatever. But then it comes up and it's like no concern. It has zero concern. It's just like, I'll just eat this here. It's got its own like buffet. Maybe that's why I'm. Maybe that's why I'm an otter. I have a self buffet platter. But it just, whatever engenders that feeling of like inspiration and like for my friend who's a guy, I didn't talk to him about money honeys, but we talked about spirit animals. And for him, like a phoenix wasn't really what he was wanting. But then once he uncovered the meaning behind that phoenix and like how it rises every time, that I think gave him a feeling of like, whoa, like pride and, just bravery and an external journey, if you will. Like, because if phoenixes were real, if a phoenix was a real animal, its journey is publicly displayed for everyone to see. Right. And so, like, every time they crash and burn, you're like, wow, pretty spectacular. Yikes. And then they're like, I'm all right. Or they come out like as little baby birds. They're like, I'm okay. I'm just going to need to like grow some new wings and come on back. And I think I personally find something really inspiring about that. And if that was my money honey, and maybe I'll have a couple money honeys this month, or this year. This will be the year of the new money honey. You're just kind of pulling into that. So no, I do not think it has to be something like physical or tangible. Although since day one, Ellie has been telling me, she's like, Mom, we need to get some plushies made. We need to get some stuffies of otters, like of golden otter. And like 3 years ago when I first started Golden Otter, and I wasn't sure which direction this whole thing was going to go, because originally I just wanted to write a children's story, and I wanted to write a series. You remember? That's how it started. It was going to be a Romensburg, a Bildungsroman. Mary, our last, she was our member who was on our last call. She's an English major, and I was like, I wanted to write this series of book, and it's called she's like a Bildungsroman, and I was like, yes, Mary, the English major, thank you for saving my fizzled out brain. And it was going to be a series of 7 books, just kind of like detailing the adventure of a young sensitive girl who kind of becomes the heroine in the story. I guess obviously it would be based on my life and my like the things that happen around me. And at a certain point, I was like, yeah, that's not going to really work because then I actually have to reveal myself, even if I'm revealing it in a story. And then those character arcs really, you know, you've got to dig for those. Like J.K. Rowling didn't just write Harry Potter because she hadn't. She just thought, oh, these things called Dementors, I'll just put those in there. It's like, no, like Dementors represent depression and like darkness, and you can't write about something that you don't know. And so when you read her book, you're kind of like, okay, what was going on here? Who was Harry? And she talks about Harry being somebody that she actually knew in real life. But I think there's probably, again, levels of anonymity that she has built in to protect that person. But to give him such a specific birthday, to give him such a specific backstory, and to put so much feeling in that story where when you read it, you take it on as yours and you're like, um, but originally that's what it was supposed to be. And I was like, okay, and then we'll have characters and all this. And I'm kind of reconnecting to that a little bit after having gone to Harry Potter World and just I'm a 34, almost 35-year-old woman, like getting gray hair. And I was like a freaking child at Harry Potter. I was like, oh my God. I had goosebumps. I had my golden snitch outfit. People were like, I love it. What are you? I'm like, I'm the golden snitch. I'm the golden snitch. And then one day I had my hair kind of wild and I was like wearing like a black robe. They're like, oh, are you Bellatrix Lestrange? I'm like, no, but now you're giving me ideas. And I was just so full of life after kind of like it's been a rough year, but then a dark month with the passing of my friend and our friend, fellow military wife. And I needed that like buoy, I needed that. I needed that to be like, there's other feelings, other than that darkness and that sadness. And I kind of reconnected with this idea of like, maybe I should just be writing a children's book. Like maybe we'll pause the, lunar manifestations, like members, let it live on in the interwebs, and then maybe I'll just start writing. And that'll be the next chapter. Because 20 years from now, when Harry Potter is a thing that little kids are kind of out of touch with, it's like, when you go to Orlando Studios and there's oh my gosh, well they had like a Simpsons ride, which is like, oh, that's cool, but it was very much like for our generation, like the younger kids were like, what is this? They're like, oh, this is so violent, and I'm like, this is horribly violent. Like, I can't believe. Well, first of all, I wasn't allowed to watch it, but we still watch it all the time because we weren't supposed to watch it. So we'd sneak it, but then we'd turn it off. So violent. There's guns. There's like it's so violent, and it's a kids ride. And like the kids, we took it on. We're like, ah! And I was like, and I said to my husband, I was like, dude, this is like, we shouldn't have gone on that. That was really violent. He's like, I know. He's like, we weren't allowed to watch. I said, neither were we, but I guess I just didn't realize why we weren't allowed to watch it until now I'm an adult. Or then there's just like, it's pretty gross, pretty violent. But then there's like Bugs Bunny, different cartoons that people grew up with, and they were touchstones. And Harry Potter is multi-generational. It'll be around for a long time. I mean, my girls are now into it and loving it. But I'm like, maybe there could be there could be a Harry Potter and a Golden Otter world. And I'm like, that would be something that would light me up and continue to get me to keep driving and moving and exploring my own, darkness and my own shadows. And that's what the Scorpio new moon is about. It's like you have to peer into your own chamber of secrets. And it's like, what is in there? And full disclosure, folks, I'm going through some pretty intensive trauma therapy right now. My friend Adrian, again, our original member, I'm sharing all the details of it with her. Maybe someday I'll share it with you guys once it's not so raw and so fresh. But you have to do that stuff. Like, you just have to dig in and pull it out, because otherwise, what's the point? Why else do we come to this earth in this specific time in this specific way? And I don't know if that could be like utilized for like a journey, and like the heroine is a goddess, like an ascended lunar goddess, and then she's like rolling around picking up her her goddess posse, like, yo, mama, get off that pole, come come fight intergalactic crime with me, like, let's go. Adrian and I, we've been joking about maybe starting a cat house, but we haven't decided yet. Probably not. It's probably not going to happen. But if we did, we've got some ideas of how it would be run. Get down off that pole. Take these nunchucks and come with me. Rise like the phoenix. Oh my gosh. Okay, so with that, we're going to go. Thank you so much for joining us for the Scorpio New Moon members Q&A call. I will see you in 2 weeks at the full moon in, is it Libra? Taurus comes after Taurus. Oh, it's Gemini. Next month is Gemini. I'll see you at the, oh yeah, it's like a twin flame ritual. Okay, so I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye. Thank you for being here, Adrian. All right. Finish. And